It was a tough response from Britain's Foreign Secretary, William Hague. Tuesday's attack on the British embassy in Tehran could only yield a major diplomatic retaliation, he said.
The Iranian Chargé in London is being informed now that we require the immediate closure of the Iranian embassy in London and that all Iranian diplomatic staff must leave the United Kingdom within the next 48 hours. If any country makes it impossible for us to operate on their soil, they cannot expect to have a functioning embassy here.
But the embassy closure and expulsion of staff did not constitute a wholesale severance of diplomatic relations, he added.
This does not amount to the severing of diplomatic relations in their entirety. It is action that reduces our relations with Iran to the lowest level consistent with the maintenance of diplomatic relations.
Hundreds of protesters massed outside the British embassy in Tehran on Tuesday afternoon before scaling the walls and the gates, burning British flags and a car. The private quarters of staff and the ambassador were ransacked, Hague said. The main embassy office was set on fire and personal possessions of UK diplomats were stolen. Iran said it regretted the incident and described the protesters as students. But Hague said there was some degree of regime consent in the raids on the embassy and another diplomatic complex in the north of the capital. Most of the protesters were made up of members of the regime-backed Basij militia group, he said. Hague's decision marks the worsening of already strained relations between London and Tehran. The storming of the embassy came in response to a UK decision to sever all financial transactions with Iranian banks. And those latest British sanctions were themselves in response to concerns over Iran's nuclear program. The diplomatic raid triggered memories of the 1979 storming of the United States Embassy in Tehran. That incident saw more than 50 US diplomats held for more than 400 days, and then more than 3 decades of acrimony between Tehran and Washington. US President Barack Obama said the attack on British premises was unacceptable.
Crashing of the English embassy, the embassy of the United Kingdom in Iran, that kind of behavior is not acceptable, and I strongly urge the Iranian government to hold those who are responsible to task. For rioters essentially to be able to overrun the embassy and set it on fire is an indication that the Iranian government is not taking its international obligations seriously.
The European Union and the UN Security Council also condemned the attacks. They came at a time of growing international momentum against Tehran over its controversial nuclear program. The UN's nuclear watchdog recently warned that Iran has performed tests of a nuclear device. Western countries argue for slapping tougher sanctions against Tehran through the UN Security Council, but Russia is opposed.